office, you said, who do I talk to?
They had
I
a
texted Todd.
She
That
sent me a
was
picture
great.
earlier this morning.
Yeah, he's like, talk to Todd. I'm like, great. But he was on the phone. So I was like, and I didn't, just like when someone goes, you already know, I don't want to go pull my, hey, I need to go sit. I was like, hey, somebody can help me because I know what it's like. And I'm like,
And then her grandma
and so I was like, who do I go talk to?
She and grandpa.
I think you said Todd or Mel.
I said Todd.
Yeah, I was like, great. Well, I'm here in the bank.
We had the same thing.
I'm already here.
I was like, oh, okay.
Well, it looked like there was cars in the parking lot. So either way I pulled in, I was like, dude, I went through the wrong direction. Like, there's two cars here. I was like, wait a minute, there's a whole lot of people in here and two cars in the parking lot. So I was sitting.
Microchips. But there was a
Alright.
company, 50 employees that agreed to do it. Well, they would chip, I'd get some of their skin on their hand or whatever. And they would do that to open doors. And they had fixed, you could use the, like, the candy machine, pop machine. Just read the chip on that big brand.
That's below.
We get tough.
Yeah.
Well, we get do that.
Today pretty quick.
Oh, did I get sent
People were, I'll say later.
So Megan,
What did I do?
Call meeting to order. Those of you who would, please stand for an opening prayer and then Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Mendez, if you would.
Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we just come to you tonight and ask that, first of all, we thank you for the right to gather. We ask that you lead and guide this meeting, be with the council members and everyone in attendance, Lord. We thank you for everything. It's in your Son's precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Under Mayor's announcements, I just want to remind everybody that again, this weekend, Friday, August 4th at 12:01 a.m., we start our back-to-school sales tax holiday. And that runs through Sunday, August 6th. So I want to remind everybody to get out and shop Republic and take advantage of that tax holiday. On to citizen participation. Anybody who would like to speak to anything not on the agenda, please step to the podium, give your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes. Seeing none, citizen participation is closed. Need a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 8-0. Boards, commissions, and committee schedule is attached to your agenda, so you can see that if you're in the audience. And as note, city council meeting, the next one will be August 15th, 2017 here at City Hall. On to old business. Need a motion and a second for the second reading of bill number 17-27.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 8-0, Ms. Brennan.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, amending the budget for fiscal year 2017.
Need a motion and a second for final passage of bill number 17-27.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, Ms. Parks.
Good evening, Council. As I brought up at the first reading, we are required by Missouri State Statute, Chapter 67, to our budget and compliance. So basically, this is an amendment to bring forth items that have been previously approved by Council throughout the year or projects that have run over budget. And so included in your exhibit was a line-by-line breakdown, which I won't go through every single one this time. But the general fund, we're increasing by $156,974. Water, wastewater fund by $549,165. The streets fund, $174,728. The stormwater fund by $30,188. The fire sales tax fund is being increased by $337.26. $26, I'm sorry. Just a few of the major items that were included in this exhibit is the Garden Business Park. Different line items contain different amounts, but the total amount was $627,666. for the sewer additions, and of course, as a reminder, that will be reimbursed when the project is completed. And then also the aerial fire truck, which we are very happy to have purchased this year, as you can see, was the amount of $337.26 in the fire sales tax. In addition, I just like to remind council what I had brought up in part of the discussion last time. We would be bringing a full-time employee from our part-time financial clerk position to help address some of the audit concerns that we had for staffing personnel. And then the last item I wanted to touch base on is the funding for the utility billing vehicle. The Ford 150 was also in this amendment. If anyone has any further questions for me?
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
This is just a curiosity question.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the increased money coming from?
Well, it's a very good question. We have reserves, unrestricted cash balances, and so most of the money is coming from those accounts. The fire sales tax is a special dedicated fund, and we have the reserves for that fire truck purchase in there. The Garton Business Park, that when they reimburse it, it will reimburse our unrestricted cash for the different funds that it's split upon for the water, wastewater, streets, and stormwater funds. So.
Any other questions from council? Discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilmember Duran,
Aye.
Councilmember Mendez,
Aye.
Councilmember Dykeman,
Aye.
Councilmember Brashears,
Aye.
Councilmember Jones, Councilmember Wilson,
Aye.
Councilmember Self,
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. Need a motion and a second for second reading of bill number 17-28.
Motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried 0. Ms. Brenda.
an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, repealing ordinances 96-1683, 98-27, 05-77, 09-42, 12-58, and all amendments thereto, repealing Municipal Code Section 110.020, and enacting a new Article 2 Purchasing Policy and Chapter 110 Administration Policies of the Republic Municipal Code.
Thank you. Need a motion and a second for final passage.
Motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Mr. Cameron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I explained at the last meeting, this is the purchasing policy for the entire city. It was originally adopted in 1996. And one thing that's noteworthy that I did not bring up for those that perhaps are new to council and how the numbering works. When it says ordinances 96 and it says 98, 05, 09, 12, those are years that it was amended. So there was some, to be clear about what I said last time, the original adjustment, the original document dates all the way back to 1996. But there were small amendments to different things, but not to the material language of the document. There might have been some things that were done, but the material language, such as the amount, have rarely been changed. And so we're asking for the complete repeal of that and what's before you tonight. One example of what this will do is just the most obvious one is the $5,000 spending limit versus what we're bidding out to do the work. So, for example, it'll go from $5,000 to $25,000. So I got one project in mind that I was going to use as an example tonight, even though there was no big concerning questions last meeting. But if you look down Hines Street, is it Lynn and Hines, the intersection, the whole area needs to be restriped. So we've got $20,000 budgeted to do that work. So once upon a passage, assuming passage and hoping for passage, staff will go out, get 3 written quotes to get that done tomorrow, and we could actually have that $20,000 that's budgeted and get that intersection done versus a 45-day project and bringing it back to council to have that area striped. So I'm hoping to do some of the projects that we have that are over the $5,000 mark, but we can start moving to get some of that stuff in the street department. But that's just a project that I hear about all the time is that intersection. But to do a 45-day process to bid out, just to stripe it when we've already approved it, it will still come to you at the next meeting, you'll see in your admin report, we spent $19,000 to restripe that area. So you'll see in writing what we've done that coincides with the approval of the budget. So I don't want there to think, oh, we're gonna start spending money that was not approved or allocated. It will be written, it'll be transparent for anyone. We publish these, the admin reports to the council, and we can also provide them, we used to provide them, we may provide them online, but if not, I think it's information that's very helpful to the community, the staff. But I know the staff is excited. The plan here is if approved, then on Thursday we have a meeting that we will walk through staff to make sure that we discuss the use and the, how it's supposed to be implemented, the documentation that has to coincide with it. But again, the auditor has reviewed this. From a cursory review, they're not going to dig through every sentence, but they have reviewed that, and I appreciate the work that both Debbie and Ron put in to make this ordinance, to amend this ordinance. But we're recommending approval.
Any questions, discussion from council? Mr. Cameron?
So is it just expenditures that are over 15,000 will be listed on the administrator's report, or will we see more than that on there?
I believe it's over, there's a whole lot, in fact, out of last week's packet, there's a lot that requires it to go back to, if it's a change order, so like one, I'll give an example it's a significant change, is like on a change order, it used to say it was not more than, I think it's 20%, is it 20% of the contract price? 15. Yeah, well, it's 15 right now, but if it's $1 million project and it's 15% over, 150,000. So if it was 14% over, it wouldn't even, so you could be on $1 million project and never even see a $140,000 change order per se. This one requires anything over 15,000 still comes back to you on any change order. But if it's 15% of 20,000, then you're not going to see a change order like that. But there's a number of notifications that require a full written report. Emergency expenditures are the same way.
And this is, sorry.
I don't see anything. I see the expenditures less than 15,000 shall be provided written in the next, at the next regular meeting, yes. Over 15.
One last question. Is this for budgeted items only, or is this for?
There are some non-budgeted things that will still have to be presented, because what we're required that has not been done historically is if they need a pump rebuild and it's 9,000, I may say, fix the pump. I'll report it. It's not budgeted, but I'm going to report it at the next meeting that we did that.
Okay.
Also, the other added, there's two instruments in play. The statutory requirements that say we have to balance our budget. So any expenditure, so tonight we just amended the budget. She details for you any expenditures that are outside the boundaries of that budget. The accountability is outlined, and there's not just the written reports, there's the report she just provided that amends the budget, that holds me accountable and the staff accountable, that if we're outside of the lane anywhere, you're going to find out about it well in advance. It's not something that you have no, it's not taking away your control. In fact, it's what it's doing is twice a year you're going to get an amended budget, just in case something happens, like in materials and supplies, like we had something go over budget that wasn't expected. I'll probably report about it anyway, but when she goes to amend the budget like she did, she'll outline what that is. And it was a great question, and even John brought it up last time. Where's this money coming from? That's great dialogue for us to be having for the auditor's sake and for our own. We need to be answering, how are we balancing the budget? Because the previous 2 years we did not do amended budgets, and that was noted in our audit. So the accountability is in the budget amendments, and then it is reported here. So even if it's not budgeted, I still have to report if we've spent over a certain amount at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilmember Self?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Brashears?
Aye.
Councilmember Dykeman?
Aye.
Councilmember Mendez?
Aye.
Councilmember Duran?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0. No first readings. We'll go on to other business resolutions. Resolution number 17-R-65, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, accepting a sales proposal from Potter Equipment to trade out 2 backhoes. Need a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
motion and a second. Mr. Brock.
Thank you, sir. This is more or less an annual procedure for us. Our backups are, a good analogy would be a fire truck or a squad car. These are our meat and potatoes equipment that we absolutely have to count on in the middle of the night to fire up and do the job. And the market for used equipment has been pretty steady over the years, and each year we typically get a proposal from Potter Equipment to trade in the backhoes, and it has always been to our benefit to do that. We look at an estimated depreciation on these vehicles. I use a double declining method to estimate that. I tell you, it's not real accurate because the brake line on this type of equipment is 500 hours. If we've got less than 500 hours, we get a good sales proposal to trade those in. If we exceed 100 hours, the value of that equipment drops off pretty drastically. And there were a couple of years during the recession where we were not able to trade this equipment in, and the trade value or the cost to purchase the new vehicle new backhoe almost doubled during those years. So this resolution accepts the proposals from Potter Equipment to trade in two city-owned backhoes, 2016 models for equivalent 2017 models. Total cost is $17,000, and we do have over $30,000 budgeted towards this acquisition.
Any questions or comments, discussion for Mr. Brock? The backhoes that we're getting, they have all the equipment that we need. That
They do, yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Self?
So the depreciation is 17,000. I'm sorry. The cost is 17,000, but our depreciation is 9,000 and 8,800, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Anything else? Seeing nothing, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Resolution number 17-R-66, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, authorizing the execution of a letter of agreement for custom work with AT&T Missouri. Need a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Mr. Brock.
This is related to the Garten Business Park and construction of Drury Lane. Pretty typical when you're out working next to adjacent streets and easements that you have utility relocations, and in planning this project we did come across a conflict with some existing AT&T facilities. Because located in a private easement, they've asked for and we're obligated to reimburse them their cost. They've presented an estimate of $32,000. I think all the parties involved recognize that's probably high. That's typical for them to make sure they overestimate and they don't have to come back and ask for more. So we don't expect to sub that entire cost as part of the project, but it is work that will hold up progress. We've got really the next stage in construction to start is our stormwater, and that's where a conflict exists with these fiber optic lines. So to move forward with their process, we need to authorize execution of their letter of agreement, and payment will not be, we don't have to pay up front. They'll send us an invoice when the work is actually complete.
Questions or discussion from Mr. Brock? Mr. Duggan?
Is this something that will be included in the reimbursement?
Yes, sir. This is really normal and customary for any type of development work you come across this thing.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Mr. Mayor,
Sir?
I do want to add comment to this because I did not agree with the concept of moving it. So I did speak with AT&T representatives. Typically, they require us to write them the check up front before they'll even move the work. So I do appreciate that they've at least accepted a PO that they will bill us until the work is done. So while that's the number, even though I think there's significant benefit to AT&T with 6 commercial lots sitting there to sell to another customer, and thus to partner on what that cost should be, and so that's just the price of doing business. I do appreciate the fact that they did not require us to pay all the money up front, but it just seems to me, and I still hope we can work things in the future where we're going to add commercial development that people are going to profit off of, that there is a potential for they're going to recognize a sale to that potential customer that's going to buy that lot as well. But at least in this situation, they did not require the payment up front, which is typical. So they waived that so we could at least issue a PO. But hopefully in the future, we'll start to work on ways that I'd like to see the partnerships expanded where all the parties are seeing the benefit of us growing that area out there and the amount of revenue that they can generate by us. We're building a street, we're partnering with Drury. I'd like to see that on a number of angles, but I do think the concession, we're not paying it up front, should be noted.
Anything else? Nothing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Resolution number 17-R-67, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, waiving the residency requirement for the city administrator in City Charter Section 5.1 and authorizing amendment to the contract of the city administrator. Need a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Mr. Cameron?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As many of you know, I've been in the city since July last year, and there is a residency requirement, which I understand. And I had to relocate within 6 months, which we did. I've been here since July, but looking for a house and different options my house in Arkansas still has not sold. And so basically I've worked with a bank to establish a bridge loan and found a residence that's on Boston Lane, which is immediately adjacent to the city limits. It's like the limits is right there, so I'd be touching it. I'll make every effort to annex the house into it. It's on 5 acres. I don't, but I'll make every effort to try to get that done, but I can't control whether the city will accept my annexation. But I am asking consideration to find a spot for us to kind of permanently call home and to be a part of the community rather than renting. And there's nothing against renting. I'd just rather have our own place and hopefully our house in Arkansas sells sooner rather than later. But we're ready to move on our property, and so I'm just asking your consideration. And again, we'll do everything we can to annex the property in. But it is immediately adjacent on Boston Lane, so Mr. Wilson would be my neighbor. If you need to know where it'd be on the east side of the road, as you're going down Boston Lane, it's the last house on the east side before you get to whatever farm road that is. So
They call it Sparkman Drive, used to, I don't know the number, 172 maybe, 170.
that is the location, since everyone will eventually find out one way or the other.
One no vote tonight, huh, you?
He's got to feed the
Don't
dog.
clear your throat, Charlie.
Any questions?
I was gonna say, maybe Gary could sell your house and you could take it.
There you go.
Switch.
Just have a comment, I don't see an issue with that, just because if you take like an actual circumference of where you live compared to where some of us live, compared to where City Hall is, I I live probably farther from City Hall than what you would being down that road, so I don't see that as an issue. Just a comment.
Any other questions, comment, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. No finance report tonight. No appointments or commissions. So on to report from staff. Mr. Cameron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I do want to thank the council's consideration on the deal. I know that there's my wife, be happy, but again, I want to be a part of the community, not just there, so I will make efforts to get that done, but I appreciate the opportunity and understanding of what it takes trying to find that and relocate. Also, want to thank the staff for the work on the policy, and I appreciate the council's consideration approving the purchasing policy and changing that. at any time that we feel like that it's something that's out of line or something that we need to address or correct, I appreciate the work that's gone into it, but that's a big step for the city staff. It's going to be a lot. I look forward to the feedback that you receive. I'm going to ask for that feedback to be provided because I do think it's going to allow them to do their job a lot more easily and quickly. I was able this week, I'm going to commend something else. The work that was done between the city and the jail, and the use of our jail at the last meeting, and the Greene County and the Springfield, I don't know if you saw in the last meeting, they settled and come up with a consent decree, basically an agreement of what they're going to be doing. And I do appreciate the work that we were able to do at the last council meeting. That was to arrive at a situation that helped from a regional perspective. And I know Chief has felt bad about it, and I want to clarify so that there's no, with that agreement, it's not really materially affect what we're doing. It's still the same situation. If prisoners are brought to our facility, they're released to our facility. The main issue in that discussion was would they be transported out of the community. That does not change. That's not there. But some of the communication that we did not talk about was whether it was going to be state versus municipal. That was brought up in discussion. But I do not believe it was the material portion of the conversation. And so I want to clarify that there are some changes to different prisoners that may be brought in. That may be more municipal. There may be more Springfield. There may be more bookings, but it does not change that they will be released into the community. They'll still be transported out. I just want to make sure that it's clarified, that there's nothing that was intentional. It's just something changed materially from the night we had that meeting between a long-standing litigation and what we were trying to do as a group regional. And I believe the chief's intent to do that was that night. So I know he felt bad, like, well, I told him this, I told him that. I'm like, materially, I think what we're trying to say is that they will be released into the jurisdiction that they were brought from, and that has not changed, nor did it change. There may be more bookings, there may be more municipal prisoners and state prisoners, and so just want to make sure that that's clarified. But I do commend both organizations for getting together. I think for the region, for where we live, for us to have more solidarity on that issue regarding the jail is a win-win for everyone in Greene County, because we need to have that moving forward in some situations. So to have steps towards that answer, whether they're all perfect right now, I don't know, but to see some sort of movement is a good thing for Republic as well. So it's good for the region, it's good for us. And I also had the opportunity to do a ride-along with the police officers last week for almost the entire day. I actually went longer than I wanted to on one night because it was getting kind of like, wow, that's kind of interesting. There's a lot that goes on in the evening, and I look forward as we work together as a group to look for ways to continue to reduce the turnover on our public safety staff. There's a lot that goes on, a lot that they do at night that I would encourage anybody that has a chance. I know Chief would welcome the opportunity to do a ride-along, but I really commend what I saw, what I would consider sometimes people that are half my age that are out there doing that job, and the professionalism and the ability to control a very volatile situation was unbelievable. I mean, I realized that I lived in a bubble for a brief while. Like, this stuff really goes on, and 16-year-olds really talk to officers that way. I've never quite seen it. And then there's adults that talk to them even more. So I commend the fact that they can control themselves and then take a very volatile situation and turn it into a very calm situation. And so I appreciate the work they do, but if you get a chance, and I'm sure Chief considered to do a ride-along either day or night, they were both very cordial, but you can learn a lot. So there's a number of things that were brought up, like lighting on streets. There's no lighting and they go down. I just learned a lot, and Chief, I appreciate the opportunity to let me go out there and do that and listen to your staff and listen to their feedback. I appreciate that. And lastly, I'm going to just say we're live tonight, so I appreciate the work that TSI has done to broadcast these meetings live. They will also be able to be replayed immediately following once we turn off the broadcast, but I appreciate the work that TSI has done. We also did an employee survey for TSI to see if we're getting feedback, so for those that were interested, we're continuing to solicit feedback on TSI's work, but I know they've gone the extra mile, at least executing our own values as an organization to help us out. And ROI will soon be opening up, so I had a really good visit for economic development purposes last week in Garten Business Park, and so ROI is opening in September, and I look forward to more discussion, more things that are about to be coming forth in the future, and I'll let the mayor have the rest. Thank you.
Quickly, I'll talk about a week from today, the sales tax will be on the ballot. It is a tax increase for capital improvements. We can't ask you to vote one way or the other. We just ask that you get out and vote. So I want to remind everybody that is 1 week from today. This last week I had the opportunity to attend the Greene County Mayor's Association meeting, and it was just great to be able to tell everybody what's going on in our community. And it is really good to, when you sit down and talk about all of the things, I mean, we talk about them here, but when you actually write them out, everything that's going on in the city of Republic, and then present that to a group, that's when you realize how much we are moving and going forward. And it's just a really exciting time. The Garten Business Park, Big Whiskey's, all of the businesses that we have in town, the growth in our community, residential neighborhoods, it's just a great place to live. And I think we're all very lucky, and we should be excited that we're a part of what's happening right now. So I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I try to keep it short and not go over everything. I'm sorry, Mr. Beshears, but I'm going to start with Mr. Self tonight.
I've got nothing to report. I'm good.
Well, I should have started with Mr. Beshears.
I had one concern. The sidewalk we're building from Main to the library, it's a good thing and it's looking good. They're not quite done, but I have a concern about the handicap parking spot. It's right on the south edge of the parking area, and you open your door and you step down about the A4 off the blacktop onto gravel. So I'm not sure that's a very good situation.
We will take care of it.
It's a narrow parking space.
Is it the one where Lowe's, where they just did the pavilion?
Yeah.
We'll take care of it. Thank you for bringing that up.
Anything else, Mr. Wilson? Thank you, sir. Mr. Jones?
Just a couple of things. Number one, I appreciate the communication that I receive, and I'm sure that all council members receive from both you, Mr. Mayor, and Mr. Cameron, just through the week, through the month, about citizen concerns. It's never great to be caught off guard with something. It's always good to have a little bit of information to help. So I appreciate that a lot. The other thing is, and again, I love the task list. It's a great way to communicate what's going on. I don't necessarily understand your color coding. It doesn't follow my manufacturing training. But
sorry.
We'll go through that. That's okay.
We're not going into 5S either.
Yeah, we'll have a Kaizen event and take.
Yeah, I was going to say, stand in a circle.
But no, it is good. This is all really good way to let everybody know what's going on.
Mr. Mayor, I appreciate the comment. Yellow for us means it is it's what I want to hear. When you're in a meeting, it's probably the first thing I want to hear where we're at as a status. It's probably more for me to say, hey, if it's in yellow, it means I need to hear something about it. And then we may talk about it, but yeah, it's not going to follow Six Sigma. Thanks.
Sure, some crazy Arkansas thing.
Well, the red is more of a Woo Pig thing.
Yeah, I
so.
All right, thank you. Moving on from the Woo Pig thing, Mr. Beshears.
I want to thank the staff that's working on policy and procedure. It's good to see some of these old, not that old's necessarily bad, it's not, but at the same time, it gives our staff a lot easier way to work with things, a lot more flow, easier flow, just makes things work some better. Second thing, it's not really a city concern, but school starts next Thursday, and please hold the different students that we have in your thoughts and your prayers. Kids nowadays face so much more than we did when we were at their age. And if you have a real good connection, you might also include staff.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Duran?
I'm super excited about the purchasing policy. I know that that's going to make your lives a lot easier. So thank you for all the hard work that you guys have done on that. I'll second you said about sending out those prayers and thoughts for the teachers and all the children and the parents too, because some of us are kind of crybabies when our babies go back to school. So anyway.
Mr. Mendez?
First of all, I just want to thank Debbie for all your hard work pulling those RFPs together. There's a lot of great information in there to weed through, and rolling your sleeves up, getting it organized, and putting it together like that is very much appreciated. So thank you for such an aggressive approach on that. Also want to thank you, Mr. Cameron, and the staff for the survey that you sent out to the employees for TSI. Really eager to see what that yields. I know that over the history there's been a lot of contention with getting the right kind of support and improving the experience. So the progress there, the camera and everything, that's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Dyken?
Well, I would like to get, here again with, on Debbie, the RFPs. I've been going through them and looking, and there's a lot of information. It's going to be a lot of weeding through it to get all of it and figure out the best, but I'm sure we will. And just all of the staff for what they do, and remembering, of course, next week with the election, and then also the school, because that is important, because that's our future.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else from council at all? How about a motion and a second to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 7-0, and we will see everyone on August 15th.
34 minutes.
That's a record council meeting, isn't it?
Yeah, and I took up